after that practice, um, the thing that can be like, one of the things that's opened up by that is how to draw the human arm. And here's a nice little start on that. So if you take a bean shape, and let's add some cross contours to this bean shape. And a transverse section. These would be transverse sections. We'll add a sagittal section. And a coronal section. And where the coronal section is coming from on two sides, we could draw the invisibles here. So on two sides, where the coronal section emerges from is where the human arm emerges from. And I'd love to see you considering a line of action underneath the human arm in a kind of gestural way. But then the next part about drawing a human arm, so let's say I'm going to take that down like this. And one of the concepts that goes into shaping things from nature is that a lot of times shapes in nature have a tendency to be formed not like this, but like this. This concept is called passing. Okay? But let's start out with the shape of our arm. Let's consider it two sections to begin with, okay? So it's like two cylinders, and they're orchestrated along this curve, along this flowing curve, okay? And we're going to have at the top a shape like this, and at the bottom, for right now, we'll just do a shape like that, okay? And then the critical part becomes, the next part that we can add to this is their mode of attachment. And the way that they attach is like this. If the bicep is right here, if we imagine that the bicep is here, okay, this part here interlocks like this. See there? And up here, there's an interlock like this. So, and on this, what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to play with this arm in a way and also you can have there be this shape for the pectoralis. You really need a pectoralis and shoulder in order to think about the arm. And so for right now, you can think about the pectoralis shape. You can think about the overall shape of the pectoralis and shoulder as a kind of a shoulder pad here that bites onto the arm, like that the arm comes out of this, let me see, just this big mass of a shape that goes to the middle of both sides. Let me see, this isn't really fair. What I just asked of you there isn't really fair. So I'm going to have to back up for a second and set that up. But the first thing we'll do is we'll do this. So we've got the interlocking shapes here, okay? And the interlocking shapes here. And actually, here's how we'll do the pectoralis. So let's say we've got a bean shape up top, like this. And what we'll do is we're going to do layering, a layering shape. We're going to take a circle, a cylinder, and we're going to layer it over this bean. So we're going to thicken out at this section, almost like we're drawing like some kind of mushroom, okay? And then onto the mushroom, we're going to add shoulder pads. And the underside is going to have like a little mouth. That the arm comes out of. So the arm is captured right here. Okay, and then I'll erase my invisibles. Okay, so here, let me do it one more time. Okay, we'll start out with a peanut. I want to put some transverse lines in. I want to put a line, a sagittal line, down the center. Okay, and now my coronal line will go here. Okay, on the top of this form, I'm going to thicken out, kind of starting out with a kind of mushroom, like when we do the layering. So the top of the form is working almost like what our work was yesterday, where we did this. And this. Okay. So there's a kind of layering there. And so this top is layering. But then what we're going to do is we're going to consider the bottom, we're going to add to the top. So let's say here's our form. And we're going to add right here. And you can start in the middle. You can literally start like so close to the middle. Like, see how I'm starting so close to the middle, and I'm adding this like flap. I'm going to add this like, it's like a shoulder pad. You see how I've added this shoulder pad right to there? Okay. And now from the underside is going to has a way, on the underside, it's the same exact thing coming up from underneath. And the arm comes out. The arm bites hold right here. The top of the arm, it bites on right there, like that. See that? So I've got the Pringle right here, and the arm is biting on right there. So I think that's a fair representation. I think that gives us what we want. So we'll just sketch it. Here's peanut shape. here's thickening. Here's the shoulder. I'm adding a lump for the shoulder. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the arm wedge into that. It's going to bite that lump. Okay? See there? I'll thicken for the shoulder. And then the top of the arm bites right there. And then as I move down the arm, now the lower part of the arm bites like this. Okay. And here would be a cross contour. It goes up and over and around and in. Okay. Here would be a cross contour. It goes up and in and around and up and in and around. Kind of sagittal cross contour. So I'll put a lump there. Bite onto it for the arm. And bite in the other direction for the lower part of the arm. Okay. And so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go through and look at the arm studies that I gave that are underneath the category arm drawing. And I'd like for you to sketch from them. I'd like you to go through and like sketch, so give me like 8, 9 sketches of arm drawings. So say like 8 or 9 arm drawings. Paying specific attention to these moments right there, okay? And what I want you to avoid is I want you to avoid being overly anatomical. Allow yourself a little bit of time, just this practice, allow yourself a little bit of time to get used to the large structure and perspective of the arm. Going into great detail on the anatomy will come so much easier if you get this understructure. And even if you're really already pretty good at this, it's worth taking a minute to just like really solidify this notion, okay? Okay.